companies here in the nearshore area of Europe, and especially also in Poland, are much more able to keep up this culture and to fit into this what we call Interhyp spirit of our development teams.
Hello, Servus. Welcome to SII Business Talks. Today, my guest will be Osman Agirbas, Managing Director, Digital Products and Technology from the company Interhyp, who SII works successfully since 2022. Welcome, Osman.
Thank you, Natalia, for having us.
And thank you for accepting the invitation. And today, I would like to discuss with you different topics. One's related to our cooperation, of course, but the other related rather to Interhyp, because we would like to learn more about your company, about your business, and the challenges that are waiting for you. So, ready? Let's start.
Sure, I'd love to.
So the first question will be, if you could introduce Interhyp a bit. What's the core of your business? What you do?
So what we basically do is we make a pretty complicated market in Germany, the market of mortgage financing. We try to make it more transparent for the customers. What we do is when you need a mortgage financing in Germany, you have obviously the choice of a lot of banks, and we help them find the ideal financing partner for their situation by comparing the offerings of these banks with our own self-built digital platform where we are able to do that. We go with them through the whole process of financing with personal advisory from the very beginning of finding possibilities until the final financing offer they get from the bank.
Mm-hmm. I guess there are many mortgage brokers in Germany. So what makes Interhyp special? What makes you different than other companies like that?
I think the one thing is our proven track record of the past 20 years, where we have built a very high reach, be it within the banking market, be it within the customer side. What distinguishes us is our pretty sophisticated platform where we are able to calculate precisely the ideal offers for the customers, and where we also have the big ambition to digitize the process and make it more efficient towards the bank partner, but also towards the customer, to minimize the effort, minimize the breaks in the process, and to make it as smooth as possible.
Mm-hmm. So you would call yourself a tech company?
We have two focuses. Of course, one focus for me, also in my role, very important focus is, yes, as a tech company, as a tech leader in this financial market in Germany, we have the ambition to use all modern technologies to make this process for the customer and also for the advisor of the customer as good as possible, assisted by various technology and our platform. On the other hand, of course, we also have a big focus on the personal advisory of the customer. We have very knowledgeable advisors who have a very big market expertise, who have personal contacts towards our partners, and who can guide the customer step by step through the whole process. And that is also a very important part of the customer journey, because for most people, the decision about a mortgage loan is one of the biggest financial decisions in their life. So they want to have a personal advisor to help them making sure they have the right choice.
And in relation to that, what are the biggest challenges you are facing now?
I mean, of course, you have in the last years, especially in Germany, but also all over the world, or at least all over Europe, the problem of inflation rates in the last years. which affected things like interest rates, things like affordability of housing in Europe. There are now more and more answers to this problem, and we are more and more able to find good solutions for the individual case of the customer. But that was a challenge for the industry over the last years, of course.
Yeah, I can imagine. And coming back like 3 years ago, did pandemic somehow influence your business? Because everywhere it was booming. Was it also in your case?
Yes, interestingly, the pandemic also was increasing our business because of 2 reasons, I think. The one is more a psychological reason. We were more at home, every one of us, weren't we? And which led to a increasing importance of the concept of a home. It is important for me and was for most people. So the thought of buying an own home, which you can customize to your own needs, which is yours, was bigger than ever, I would say. And the other thing was also increase in digitization in everyday life, which also helps to increase our impact as a technology provider.
Yeah. So looking from this perspective, it was a big growth, but also from capacities point of view. So that's why you decided to go for outsourcing a bit.
I would say there are multiple reasons. We need to extend our capacities. One thing is increasing demand and has been increasing demand, especially during pandemic. The other thing is our main project that we are pursuing now. It is the build up of our new so-called home platform. This home platform will allow our customers, our bank partners, and our personal advisors to work on one system on every device, and which is based on a modern microservice-based architecture, and will also enable further improvements and further integrations with modern technology. And that's the reason why we need to increase our capacities. And due to the situation in the recruiting market, especially in the tech industry, we also need fast scaling possibilities of our dev teams.
The next question would be then, why Poland? And for example, not going offshore?
The important thing for us is we see that our market and our industry has some complexities in itself. It is about highly sophisticated financial products, financial calculations, and also pretty country specific. There are some aspects in the German mortgage market which you need to understand very well in order to develop a software system which works with these aspects well. And the other thing is, when we talk to our teams and try to evaluate which model would work best for us, we had this importance of having as compatible company culture as possible. And what we saw when we were evaluating these possibilities is that companies here in the nearshore area of Europe, and especially also in Poland, are much more able to keep up this culture and to fit into this, what we call interhub spirit of our development teams.
So this is how we just came up together 2022, and I'm very
Definitely
happy about it. But I would start from a totally different side. What was the most, let's say, challenging and difficult when starting our cooperation?
I think it always has its challenges when you bring up people who, for example, have different native languages they are speaking, and who have different backgrounds. But what I saw in the teams, that this phase of challenging, I don't know, you can call it probably storming phase, was pretty short, and the teams went pretty fast over to phases of performing, where we saw the first very good results, where we saw the very first initiatives, impulses, where we saw, okay, that is some very good result of this cooperation within the team. What we see is a very good understanding of our needs. What we see is a probably also a company culture driven ambition to help the team, to also have a pretty wide horizon on the problems that I look at, and always this drive to be a problem solver, and we are very happy about that.
Right. And in one sentence, how would you describe our cooperation? Okay, it could be 2 sentences, but
maybe it will be 3.
In short words, let's say.
I would say it is a very personal and professional cooperation within these development teams that we have. It is a cooperation of trust and of mutual understanding, and also a cooperation looking at always at modern technology, new ways of solving old problems. What is, for me personally, always the most interesting aspect of my job.
I totally agree, and I'm just thinking now, because I guess you've got big plans for the future. Yeah. So what are Interhyp's plan when it comes to development and maybe the development of the home platform?
I think with the home platform, we are currently pursuing one of our major goals towards being a even more complete, even more modern software platform. Along with it goes our projects around smoothening the process more and more, using modern technology, be it text extraction, be it like complex scoring systems, to find the best offer for the customer, to provide him the best support. What will always be stable in our business model is this perfect interaction between the personal human touch towards the customer and the advantages of technology and digital solutions.
And looking from the opposite side, what would be the IT threats, I would say, or IT challenges that are waiting for you?
And the IT challenges and security threats, especially that we read every day in the news, are of course there in financial industry, especially because you have highly sensitive data of the customers trust you with, and you need to have best-in-class solutions to protect these data, this confidential information of the customers. And that's something our teams are working daily. And that also means that despite all this innovation ambition that you have and technology ambitions, you always have to keep in place the measures to keep the data safe at all times.
Okay, and your product is dedicated for the German market, so it means also German language and the regulations. So how we overcome it when with a partner from abroad who does not speak German?
Basically, we have a pretty good balance within the teams of German-speaking and English-speaking daily routines, I would say. So many formats which are done within the teams are done in English, and so it always involves commitment from both sides to use that, because of all persons, English is not the native language typically. So you need to some commitment to go this way. But when the teams are able to work in English, then it's pretty fine, because everyone brings his own expertise, translates it to the common language of the team, and so you are able to build a very good product.
But it means also the change for your internal teams to do the switch from German to English.
yes, it means, and especially for some roles, that's also a challenge because your stakeholders, your customers, your end users are German speaking typically, and you need to do this translation role towards the team. And that is a change that you need to face as a company if you want to go to that direction. But
true.
Our experience shows that the people are able and are willing to go the way, and that the common trust of within the team is important, so important that you can overcome these language barriers once you tackle them.
Yeah, it's also a kind of change of the mindset as well.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, but as I can see, it works very well.
Yeah, and one thing is also that the people still have one common language. It is technology. I mean, especially between the engineers.
Yeah.
Sometimes the programming language is even more relevant than the personal language that you speak.
Yeah, that's true. How would you sum up exactly our cooperation?
I would say it's a cooperation based on trust, based on the mutual striving towards building good technological solutions to hard real-life problems and to enable our customer to have a better mortgage experience. I see within all our dev teams a very good commitment to the goal, to solution finding, and also a lot of fun, which also should be a part of cooperation always. And so I would say or finish up with the sentence that I'm very glad that we are having this cooperation, that we have chosen the way to expand our teams with our SII colleagues.
Thank you. It's really nice to hear that, and I need to admit SII is also very happy to have you as our customer, and thank you for the good collaboration we have so far. And we look forward to do more or to support you further with your plans and goals.
Thank you. We are also looking forward.
Thank you.